Welcome back. Pro-Kannada organizations protested violently today across Bengaluru against English signboards. The protesters defaced and vandalized several display boards in Bengaluru if they were not in Kannada. BBMP had set a deadline of February 28 for establishments to comply, but the so-called pro-Kannada outfits took matter into their own hands. Let me first tell you exactly what is this BBMP Kannada language drive. Now, this drive is to ensure the usage of Kannada language more prominently on display boards of all establishments. A survey will be conducted for language used by shops and other establishments in their name boards, and a notice will be sent to all shops with less than 60% Kannada on their boards out of the total sign. Time will be given to these businesses till February 28 to change those name boards, and appropriate action will be taken if they fail to comply before the deadline. Now, let's take a look at the 2018 order of the BBMP, which directed every shop to have display boards in Kannada. This notice, mind you, was issued when the Congress JDS government was in power last. So, this order allowed shops to display a maximum of 10 units of information. 1 unit was equal to 2 words, so 10 units is equal to 20 words. The language of information has to be in the ratio of 60-40. So, 60% has to be in Kannada and 40% in any secondary language of choice. But the unused allowance cannot be transferred to the second language of choice. So, very clear directions that have been given. Now that the Congress government is back in power, there is clearly a momentum building up for this to be complied with. But there was vandalism in Bengaluru today, and is this not language chauvinism which is going out of hand? First up, take a look at this reaction by Chief Minister of Karnataka over what transpired today.
ನಾರಾಯಣಗೌಡ ಬಡದವರು ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಮಫಲಕಗಳಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾರೇ ಕಾನೂನು ಬಾಹಿರುವ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕಾನೂನು ಕೈ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ.
Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has given his first response. He is promising that there will be appropriate action taken on those who took law and order into their own hands. Let me also go across to our guest joining us. T.S. Sankeerth is from the BJP, Lavanya Ballal from the Congress party, B.S. Arun is senior journalist based in Bengaluru, also joining us. Lavanya Ballal, look at what transpired all across Bengaluru today. While the cause may be what it is, and nobody is questioning that, but is there not a question on the government and the police mechanism in the city under whose watch all of this happened today? Private property was vandalized.
The Congress government does not condone vandalism. We are against vandalism, and our CM and our Deputy CM have made it very clear that action will be taken against people who have taken law onto their own hands. This is a very old law. This is not something new. It was just reiterated by our BBMP, of course, recently, saying you have to until February 28th to follow the policies that come into play. So vandalism is not allowed. Heckling people is not allowed. Both of this will be viewed very, there will be a very strong view on this by the department concerned. And the in-charge minister for Bangalore, D.K. Shivkumar, also has given a statement today that law, taking law onto one's own hands is not condoned, or we do not support that. We will take action against that. But please do follow the rules. When it says 60-40, please follow that. That's all we request.
But today the kind of scenes that transpired, Lavanya Ballal, the question that will be asked is if the police was caught napping, if the government was caught napping, these individuals, we are told, did not have the permission to protest in such large scale, certainly not in the areas that they had occupied. And of course, what they did with signages, with English boards, we all saw. It was all caught on camera. The response also seems to be, some would say, inadequate in dealing with this kind of vandalism.
We have time and again seen, these people come and fight against such kind of signages. This is not the first time. I mean, earlier too, multiple times, they have picked up this battle, and it was a similar reaction by them. We understand the sentiments, but we do not condone the actions. Let me be very clear. We understand the sentiments of Kannadigas about the Kannada language and all of that, but we do not condone the violence.
But why? The question I was asking you was this: while I don't question the fact that you are not condoning this action, but when you're in power or when you're in government, the question will be asked of you: why were you not able to handle it or control it? And why were these elements so emboldened that on by giving a deadline or a prior notice, they were able to carry this out in presence of police?
Well, I would say absolutely not. The police was there, and if the police presence was not there, we do not know how violent the reactions of these people
No,
would be.
police was
We are
present. That's what I'm
what
saying.
Aravind
But
has
that
done.
did not deter these so-called activists in openly using stones, pelting stones at establishment, bringing down signboards, using lathis and other things in front of the police.
Yes, yes, we do. We are aware there were police presence in a lot of these places, and we are aware that police was standing there and not much action was taken. Right? They just were standing around. We are taking into consideration why this happened as well.
Okay.
That any other outward incidents didn't happen. And we want to assure everybody that everyone who is in Karnataka, who is born and brought up in Karnataka, who has lived in Karnataka for some time, actually our Mahishi report also says the same thing. We believe they are all Kannadigas and they're all safe in Karnataka. That's what we would love to reiterate.
Okay, but T.S. Sankeerth, was that message that went to the public, the businesses, establishments in Karnataka and Bengaluru today? That they are safe?
Let me tell you, Kannada is the supremo in Karnataka. Kannada is a world language and we have very respect for it, and BJP believes in territorial nationalism. So this is a basic ideology too. But if you see the instances today, this is, I think, a blatant failure of law and order in the state. In front, I don't understand the Congress spokesperson's justification for this overall incident. They say in front of police, even though the police were there, why did they allow them? What was the intelligence doing? What was the law and order doing? This is not one such instance. In Belagavi, a female stripped and paraded, and even then there was no strict action taken. These the so-called people who are protesting for Kannada, they are going and vandalizing shops, they are destroying public property, they are creating havoc in the state, and still the government is showing soft corner. I think, is this a government-sponsored event? You do the government, because of their failures, to cover up their failures, helping using these Kannada outfits as a shield? This has to be debated, and this has to be, I think, probably responded from the Congress as well, because there are many such instances which show the failures and the schemes of the government of Karnataka not reaching the people properly. To cover up these instances, I think this may be an instance to cover up all those things. Secondly, even though if you see those instances, if you, in particularly Bengaluru, it is a mini Bharat. People from many places come and reside here. They come for employment here. There are other different companies. It is called the Silicon Valley of India. So what kind of message do the people of Bengaluru receive from this kind of vandalism? So is this a brand Bengaluru? Mr. D.K. Shivakumar, who has his so-called child project, the brand Bengaluru, is this kind of brand Bengaluru what he's trying to show to the people of Karnataka and to the whole of
What does
India?
it do to the psyche of the businesses, even small businesses, for example? I mean, not just large businesses or establishments. I mean, people's small shops were attacked. B.S. Arun, was this an intelligence failure on the part of the local police and the government?
Well, I don't think so, because police were there. Yesterday itself, the Kannada Vedike had given a call that they will go on a campaign on this. The thing is, police should have prevented this. That's the thing. But what I would like to also say is that the people here who live here, even if they come from other states, have to be sensitive to the local language, to the local the priorities of the local language. And this is not a new order. This has been in force for a long time. And what prevented these shops and establishments to change their boards to suit the order of the government? I can't understand that. If the violence has to be opposed, there is no doubt about it. But then you should also think about the primacy to the local language.
But isn't that the failure of the BBMP?
Yes, it is.
They have to ensure compliance. That's all our agencies have to do.
Absolutely. Government should have taken note of this. They should have done it long ago than waiting for somebody to protest. I was recently in Gujarat, and there was not a single board which was in any other language other than Gujarati. You take Chennai. If you go to Chennai, there is a government rule saying that it has to be prominently displayed. Every board should be prominently displayed in Tamil. And even bigger banks, foreign banks like Citibank, they all display their boards in Tamil. What stops these people in Karnataka to display their boards in Kannada? I can't understand this. The government should have taken this issue long ago and should have prevented these, these shops and establishments from setting up their boards, writing their boards in other languages like English in a big way, and not giving prominence or the primacy to Kannada.
No, I understand the issue of primacy to Kannada, and I don't think anybody is in disagreement on that. In any case, each state is free to, to formulate its own rules and laws, and each city, commissionerate is, well within its right to decide what is okay, what is not okay. But the issue is about how emboldened these groups are to, in front of the police, to cock a snook in their eyes, in their face, and say, we're just going to do whatever we want to do. Yes, Lavanya, you wanted to come in? Why are they so emboldened? And frustration on any account cannot be an excuse to take law and order into your hands.
Not a law and order type of problem at all. It is a very emotional type of problem.
You can call it whatever you want to, emotional or otherwise, it's a law and order issue.
I could finish, please. It is not a law and order kind of problem. It is an emotional reaction by the people. We do not, once again, we say, we do not condone people taking action that the BBMP should be taking into their own hands. They shouldn't be doing that, right? This is, and on top of it, let us not talk about law and order by the BJP. They don't need to preach to us. These are the same people who smashed the watermelon cart of a poor watermelon seller. These are the same people who come and tell us who can and who cannot put up their petty shops outside the temples. So these people need not preach to us about law and order in Karnataka. This is a distraction by the vested interests in the states to take away the attention from allegations made by the BJP leader Yatnal against BSY of 40,000 crore scam. This is the vested interests in the state who are playing this role.
Mr. Sankeerth wants to respond. Yes.
See, I really don't get my Congress spokesperson's point by calling it not a law and order issue. If you see those video tapes, there are police standing, and they were not even trying to prevent, or they're trying to go and take custody of these protesters. They're just seeing the spy. I think that's what I wanted to ask. Is this a government-sponsored event? Is the government trying to government helping in vandalizing these things? Is it? You tell us this is not a law and order issue. I don't get it. Small people, small shops are attacked in Bengaluru. This thing is also. I agree. There is a system. There is a channel to convey these issues. BBMP should go give notices, issue notices, seize their properties for not displaying boards which is having 60% of Kannada. Let them do this. Let the government take a stand. Instead, you go and letting do this kind of an instance happening is definitely a law and order failure. You accept that. And I want to tell Mr. Yatnal's statement or anyone's statement. Mr. Yatnal, he may tell something, but this is not endorsed by anything or something. Because people who are two. Okay, this is the kind of a thing. So, but let us not deviate from the main topic that people.
Okay,
who are,
in any case, no matter who is behind this, it is fundamentally, if there is a conspiracy.
They shouldn't be allowed to take the law and order.
No, if there is a conspiracy, as the Congress spokesperson is suggesting, against the present day government, and it's your government's responsibility to ensure that you thwart that conspiracy. You're in power, the machinery is in your control. But B.S. Arun, the scary part of what transpired today is this. The BBMP just yesterday has come out and said that we are giving this deadline to businesses and establishments to comply. And yet these groups, these self-styled groups, I'm sorry to say it's not okay to just say these are people and spontaneously erupting into these protests. These are organized bodies and organizations that are, giving calls and instigating this. So it's not the same as public sentiment. There's a distinction to be made. But these groups are so emboldened, they do not pay heed to the deadline of the BBMP. They do not wait for that deadline to expire, and they set their own deadline. That shows that there is a problem. You obviously cannot have organizations like these, dictate terms to the state.
Number one, it's the failure of the government in preventing today's violence. That's very clear. But at the same time, it's also the failure of this and previous governments not to insist and not to implement the order that has already been there since 2017 about these boards. See, the BBMP has been wrong in giving a deadline. Now, why the deadline now? And when the order is there in black and white, why should there be a deadline?
I get
Is
your
there a
point,
new
sir.
rule?
I get your point, but I don't want anything of what we say to be seen as a justification for people to take law and order into their hands. I think that's a very dangerous precedent. On
Absolutely.
emotion and on a cause, anybody can then tomorrow say, oh, we don't agree with this and our emotions are attached to this, so we're going to do whatever we want to do.
I agree with this. Emotion is different from causing damage to some property. That has to be, understood. It should be very clear. At the same time, when these Vedike, the organizers of this protest, had given a call yesterday itself, the government should have taken note of it and should have made proper security arrangements so that today's incident would not have happened. I think that's where the government has failed. But at the same time, there is a failure of the previous government also in not implementing this order, which was issued in 2017.
Mr. Sankeerth, you want to respond to that? The new Congress government has only been in power for a few months. What about the responsibility of your government?
When we were in power in 2020, when we had a BJP mayor, we had instructed the BBMP to take this incidents to cognizance, and 60% of boards should be put in Kannada language. So this was BBMP's initiative from the BJP government. Let me make that clear as well. So, and we had implemented also. We had gone and convinced many corporates. We had visited small shops. We had taken the local leaders and corporators into confidence. That's a way. So you go and ending up not preventing these kind of incidents. You helping them vandalize things. You making it as a government sponsored event is not acceptable. Let the Congress spokesperson accept it. This is a law and order failure. It's an intelligence failure from the government side. So then these things can be debated upon.
Lavanya Ballal, you can respond to what Mr. Sankeerth has said, but my added question is this. Doesn't the government need to do a little bit more in also assuaging the fears of small businessmen, local shop owners and other establishments that people will not take law and order into their own hands? That assurance should also come, that confidence should also come from the government, because who knows, it's 2 months to go for the deadline of the BBMP. These groups could be emboldened to do this again.
That message has come both from the CM and the Deputy CM about people taking law into their own hands. They have also assured everybody who lives in Karnataka, who are in Karnataka, that they are safe. The messaging has gone both from the CM and the Deputy CM. And we do not want any kind of lectures from the BJP, which has failed on all fronts. Let's not talk about law and order. These are the same people who allowed a rowdy sheeter to come and welcome the Prime Minister of India on stage in Bengaluru. So they need to get off their high horse and preach to us. We
let us be clear. We did not enter any rowdy sheeter to welcome a prime minister. Kindly don't. You are already lying to the people of Karnataka. Don't lie on national media. Kindly.
Please do not do this. It is a fact.
There was an event where a lady was stripped and paraded. What they were your Congress minister supporters. What did you do? Is this not law and order failure? Is this not law and order failure? You want a bigger issue than this?
Prime Minister Bangalore.
Okay, in any case, that doesn't justify what has happened. The government of the day will have accountability for what transpires. Whether the government has done enough and whether the local agencies will be able to handle this kind of language wars erupting into this kind of vandalism is a big question right now. It's not just about Bengaluru's image, it's just about people's lives. Bengaluru is no different than any other city, and it's not that the concerns of people there are going to be different. Fundamentally, people want to be living in a safe city where they don't have people come and destroy their private property. That's the bottom line. I do thank all of our guests for joining us.